That is the sound of a distracted, divided, and dead American until they hear Battle for Freedom, triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio, and I appreciate every last one of you listening in, tuning in. Today is Thursday. I guess it is Thursday. It's after hump day and everybody's enjoying themselves and having a great time. And so am I as I reach to you and speak to you from Mojo 5 Radio. My website, Battle4Freedom.com. Share it out with as many people as you possibly can. And if you want to interact, you can go to Facebook.com/Mojo 5 Radio and get this information out to as many people as you need to let them know that I'm here. Battle for Freedom, my website, Mojo50.com. And if you were listening online, if you're listening live, you would probably just finish listening to Room 13 with Eric Miller and Raquel Lee. So if you get a chance, continue to follow Mojo 5 Radio, and there's so much more I want to share with you, but I can't do this without starting off with what's going on with American Pride Roasters coffee.
That's it. I've hit the snooze button a dozen times, and now I have to finally get going. But I'm not going to do this day right if I don't start it off with a cup of American Pride Roasters coffee, the official coffee of Mojo 5 Radio. But I'm not going to lie to you. They have a wide variety of blends, but I'm leaning towards the one that's named after me, Watson's White Chocolate Caramel. You know what? It sounds as good as those words that just rolled off of my mouth. Listen, get it today. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you, and you want Watson's White Chocolate Caramel blend to start your day off. Join American Pride Roasters Coffee and Mojo 5 Radio, and most important, Battle for Freedom, as we celebrate the best coffee in the nation. American Pride Roasters.
AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Share it out with as many people as you possibly can. And I just want to say good morning to everyone who is part of this program and who is in this. I see that some great people who decided to go to Facebook.com/Mojo 5 Radio to leave a comment. I see Lisa. I see Josh and Jill. I even see Chris and Lisa and Amy. Thank you so much for being part of the program and just sharing. They're going to interact. I hope that you want to interact as well. Today, I want to talk about the whole idea of the great unmasking. The great unmasking. And the reason why I say this is because of the fact that sometimes if you give enough time to certain events, you can learn so much more. There were a lot of things that were said about our president last year. There were a lot of things that were said about the whole idea of the coronavirus and things that we already had known about what was taking place, and what information were we privy to, what information were they holding back, were they constantly lying and deceiving us, and so as more and more things become readily available for us to address and talk about, just the nightmare, the lies, the deceptions, and so much more, I think all we had to do was just wait, give it time. The truth was eventually going to come out. What we already knew was going to come out. And you know what? It's just a great unmasking. We learn exactly, understand who people are. And it's nothing that we should be shocked about. It's just something that we already knew. And there was more to this thing. Hey, Dave, good morning. Glad that you can join and be with us today as we go through another episode or broadcast of Mojo 5 Radio and Battle for Freedom. So, as we sit here, and I know a lot of this stuff is going to trigger you, and you're not probably going to like the content. But yes, Kathy, the truth always comes out in the end as we sit here looking at the information that's just affecting us. One of the things that's really sad, and I was trying to avoid this story, but there's a part of it that just forces me to have the discussion because no one else will. So many of you are aware now about the disaster of last week or the tragedy where Cash Gernon was killed by Darren Brown. He broke through the garage and snatched a toddler and sleeping in his bed. And this is caught on film. He stabbed the child many times. And this was in the middle of the night But it's not only that bad that the film catches him snatching this baby in the middle of the night. They also show film of him actually returning the next day to get the other twin. And he was spooked and he left. See, the reason why I'm talking about this right now is because there is this campaign to make it seem like gun owners, to make it seem like Republicans, to make it seem like Donald Trump, to make it seem like, the 3%ers and many of the other groups are the domestic terrorists, are the greatest threats that we have to face in America. And it's very sad, it's very unfortunate because of the fact that we have allowed ourselves to be deceived. We have allowed ourselves to be lied to in reference to what does the real face of evil look like. We won't be honest, we won't be truthful. And God is about to say, I'm going to keep showing you the real face of evil, even though you keep trying to ignore it. Even though you try and act like it's not there, I'm going to show you the face of true evil. As Black America tries to get sympathies from corporate America and everywhere else that they are victims of systemic racism, they're victims of so much, God is basically saying, I'm going to show you the true villains in this play. The world is a stage, and every one of us must unpeel the mask. The reason why I sit here and I show this iconic scene from Captain America, the first Avenger, where Red Skull is about to be unveiled. As the leader of Hydra is sitting here, the birther of Hydra is removing his mask. He had the face on, but now the real person underneath is basically about to be shown and seen. This is an iconic scene. If you haven't seen Captain America First Avenger, I apologize, but this shows the moment that we've all been waiting for. Who is the man behind the mask? And I shaded it with green. Actually, it's very funny because it's almost shaded with the same green that the same actor plays in The Matrix. That we see the green with envy, the green with hatred, the green with jealousy and envy, and so much more is what fuels the seething hatred within all of us when we can't be appreciative of the blessings that God has given us. And it's the great unmasking. What we already knew. We know when people are jealous of us. We know when people are envious of us. We know when people hate us. There's no effort. There's no deed that we must go through to try and hide and make sense as to why people are just downright vicious, downright angry, downright abominable in their behavior. Red Skull. That's his name. Red Skull. And I believe that we have our moments of being Red Skull as well, too. Maybe many of you may not be able to like this, but here's some therapy for you in the process.
Does your mind seem like it often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's method and approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have experienced ever before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle4Freedom had sent you. One more thing. Give them the code MOJO50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic.
Yes, New Life Holistic. Share it out with as many people as you possibly can. Why? Because the whole idea, oh, sorry, Curtis. Thank you. Not trying to give it away. It's the idea that we sit here and we look at the unmasking, the unveiling. So that that given time, they say most people who are faking in a relationship can only do stuff for about 6 to 9 months before they finally give up and they don't. And the real person comes out, the real person of who they are, the schemes and the manipulation and so much more. It comes out after 6 to 9 months. I remember experiencing that about, 7 years ago when I first started radio. It took about 6 months for the true unveiling to come out as to who I was dealing with. And, it's just very, very interesting as we sit here watching this thing work its way through our lives. See, right now, as the black community tries to play innocent, play victim, and act like they are not contributing to the degradation of society, they're not trying to act like the booty shaking, the rump shaking on BET, the bling, and the gack, 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 and so much more is not contributing to the degradation of our society and our communities. God is basically saying, okay, if you want to keep ignoring it, I'm going to keep putting your smut back in your face until you fall down on your face and say, Lord, forgive us, for we have been arrogant, we have been foolish, we have chosen to ignore our sins and basically flaunt and basically push and basically put in the face of everyone how ugly and disgusting we are, while complaining that they are the very ugly and disgusting that we're being. We're going to see more and more people on the national stage and their ugliness and their foolishness and what they're doing. God is going to continue to unmask people, unmask things, whether we like it or not. And there's no way to get around what is going to happen. This is very sad because of the fact that this child and two boys, the surviving twin, is going to have so much psychological. My wife even talked about it last night. The psychological damage that's going to be placed on this boy. What is it? Survivor's guilt. That his twin brother lost his life. He was inches away. He was moments away from losing his life too. What happens to the psychological damage of this little boy who now has to live without his best friend? Who has to live because of the fact that we don't want to act like the evils that are taking place are not just one color. We want to continue to ignore it and not realize that evil, wickedness manifests itself in so many different forms, regardless of your race, your sexual identity, or even the size of your bank account, if you even have one. We need to realize what we've already known, and the reason why we already know this is because the Word of God says this in Romans chapter 3. Verse 23, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Romans chapter 3, verse 10, there's none righteous, no, not one. But many of us take this platform that we are holier than thou. We take this platform that, and understand, as I stand on, and I stand in the Word of God, because I understand that's the only place that I can actually position myself to be in any means, any ways of being right. But I stand in the Word of God and understanding it is the grace of God that makes it possible for me to speak to you right now every day. And it's the grace of God, the bigger grace of God, that allows me to stand in His presence in the end of days. And so as we unmask our hypocrisies, our arrogance, and so much more, God is going to unveil who we are if we continue to refuse to humble ourselves, that we stop exalting ourselves and humble ourselves before the Lord. The black community must do this because more and more will come out. America, the news can't keep hiding the reality of what's going on. As government officials are fully corrupt, and I'm going to get into them in a minute here, as they are fully corrupt, as they are fully comfortable in their corruption and not worrying about hiding how devious and diabolical they are, the same is happening in the black community. The drug dealers, the pimps, and every last one, the abusers, the domestic abusers, they feel more and more comfortable that they can live and do whatever they want and believe that it will not come to light their behavior. But remember, the Word of God says everything done in darkness will be brought to light. We should be fearful of that because many of us have been play acting and acting like it's not going to be revealed. Let's move from that tragedy because that one really sickens me. Let's go to another one that, no pun intended, sickens me. Fauci says Americans will almost certainly need a vaccine booster within a year to renew protection, and warns people are misinterpreting mask rules and taking them off even if they are not vaccinated. Fauci is concerned that Americans are misinterpreting these rules of guidelines telling fully vaccinated people that they can take off their mask. He told Axios he is worried that it means that no one needs to wear a mask now. Mask mandates have been relaxed for fully vaccinated people in all but 2 states, and Dr. Fauci says fully vaccinated people don't have a lifetime pass to go maskless and will likely need a booster dose within a year. So a couple weeks ago, President Biden said vaxxed or masked. So let's get into what Dr. Fauci is saying here, because he's basically saying that there are people who are not vaxxed and who are walking around without masks. Who's to determine that? Honestly, I'm going to help a lot of you right now, and I want you to hear me in what I'm going to say. I'm not telling you to lie. I'm not telling you to do anything that's against the law, but I want you to stand your ground and understand this. Right now, in our woke culture, in our LGBTQ, Black, Asian, short, tall, whatever culture it is, we are told that we must be accepting of everybody. Their truth, their reality matters most. Black lives matter, gay lives matter, trans lives matter. We're told this. And so in our companies, in America right now, it says accept people for who they are. They say right now, accept a candidate running in California for the governorship. Accept this person for how they identify. That is the language. I was this weekend, I got a chance to spend time with my in-laws and celebrating my father-in-law's 80th birthday this weekend. And it was a great time. And a question was presented to me when we were by one of the family members about the whole idea as we started talking about masks. And they shared their concern about the masks and everything like that, about how, they're concerned that they don't want to take the vaccine because it's not tested enough for them, that they don't believe that there's enough data for them to take the vaccine. Which I agree, and many other people agree, there's not enough data for our consumption of or proper decision to partake in a vaccine process. That's how I felt last week. And as I sit here looking at this, and then a statement was made that we should provide a medical excuse, and not just medical, for scientifically proven excuse as to why we should not take the vaccine. And I just posed a simple question. I said, so what scientific or medical information is produced to solidify the reality that a person can identify as a gender that they were not born? See, right now, we're told that if someone wants to identify as another gender, we must accept that person in full totality. This is the running narrative in society, in corporate America, and even in many churches, that we must accept them. We must accept them for their choice, for their identity. Now, if you're vaccinated or if you're not vaccinated and you want to identify as, or there's a word out there, transvaxite. There's a word out there called transvaxite. And I find this very interesting as you look at this, because of the fact that, again, am I saying that this is what you should do? I'm basically saying stand your ground on truth and operate in the very paradigm that they have created and allow, and basically they're holding us to a mentality. So here it is. Transvaxite. A person who identifies as have being vaccinated, even though they haven't actually been vaccinated. But do we know that they haven't been vaccinated? Because HIPAA laws protect you from revealing medical information that's personal to you. It's against the law for them to demand that information from you. It's against the law. So because if they can demand that you prove that you have a vaccine, then they must medically demand that a transgender individual, not just a doctor's note, that you show the scientific research, you show all the information, you show all the data that proves that Jenner is Jenner. Period. So because of understand this, I'm trying to help you understand that that the liberal progressive woke theology, woke culture has created the environment that how I feel, how I identify is more credible than truth, more than the science, more than anything else. They have set the stage. We now walk upon the stage boldly to proclaim the very truth that they have been espousing for years. So if you do want to be a transvaxxite, this is one of the things that says, I decided that I'm a transvaxxite. Vaccination is a spectrum, and you're a bigot if you don't accept me for who I am. Mic drop, phone drop, whatever drop you want to do. Am I telling you to lie? No, I'm not telling you to lie. I'm not telling you to lie. I'm basically just saying, speak the truth in love, speak the truth in love, and just live and stop being held back by the deceptions, by the lies. This is really sad. Yes, Kathy, HIPAA prevents anyone from getting medical information. When they have wanted to have temperature taken before entering buildings, HIPAA prevented that from happening. But guess what? We followed suit. We kept following exactly what they told us to do, violating our rights. Openly violating our rights. Right now, anything, because one of my friends sent me a text message that says that his job said you have to fill out this anonymous survey on whether or not you got the vaccine or plan to do so, and a failure to fill out the anonymous survey will have your badge shut off. And you have no access into the building. How can it be anonymous? How can it be anonymous if your badge, if they know identically, if they know you didn't fill out this survey, we're shutting off your badge? So you don't even have a choice on whether or not to answer. So the mask is coming off. The great unmasking. This never was about health. It was always about control. It was always about tyranny. And even now, if a person who wants to identify, if a person wants to be a transvaxxite and they cannot be vaccinated, they cannot be seen as someone vaccinated, it never was about accepting people for their own views. It never was about accepting someone for their own personal views. It was always about a lie, a deception, and control, and biased control and truth. Because right now, any corporate company has been pushing the idea of diversity and inclusion and will not include those who cannot or will not be vaccinated is violating the very principles of diversity and inclusion. Period. The moment that you basically say you have to have a vaccine to come in here, so why don't we translate that as you have to be white to come into this business? Why don't we basically say you have to be straight to come into this business? Because if you say someone has to be vaccinated, guess what? That is a bias, and that is a prejudice, and that is against the very nature and livelihood of said individual. Start getting your lawyers and start suing like there's no tomorrow. You want to unmask this truth? Because if we can allow one interpretation of truth, we should allow all interpretations of truth. I'm just time to free you up. It's time to free you. It's time to free us all. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom. Let's go to a break and I'll calm down and talk to you on the flip side.
And now, Watson leaving the Chick-fil-A drive-thru.
Let's quickly pray. Rub-a-dub-dub. Let's eat some grub. Amen.
That's not biblical. Awkward! I got pickles in my sandwich. Triggered!
Just pick them out.
Daddy,
Yes, sweetie.
can we get something for Mommy?
Sweetie, she's probably busy highlighting someone's hair and her food will get cold. Besides, we should have ordered it before leaving.
Okay. Daddy,
Yes, sweetie.
what's highlighting?
It's when people unhappy with their hair have to put chemicals in it and mess up God's blessing.
Triggered! Whoa! Spite much? Triggered! Daddy,
Yes, sweetie.
are you jealous because you're bald? Awkward!
Eat your food, girls.
Okay, Daddy. I dropped my sandwich.
Pick it up and kiss it up to God.
That's not biblical.
I wonder if your mom goes through this. Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo Fiber Radio. For those of you who've gotten highlighted, I am so not
Triggered.
biased because my wife gets her hair. Love this whole thing. If those of you who get a chance, watch on Facebook or YouTube, and you get a chance to hear a little 2-minute snippet of fun that I get a chance to enjoy and have fun as I unmask, or I basically just roll back to just some joy and pleasures of just laughing. And I so appreciate my wife and kids who get together with me on putting those little skits together. Today I've been just talking about the whole idea of the great unmasking and what we already knew and more. Sadly, there's a lot of different things that have worked its way, unfortunately, in our lives. And sometimes people, they hide who they are for a period of time. And when we really need to see who they are, the truth comes out. It's like, I remember a song in the 80s that says, "The freaks come out at night." Well, sometimes the truth comes out, right at that same time when you need it. Here's another truth. A lot of you have spent a lot of time, and I appreciate every last one of you doing this, of enjoying the experience of Battle for Freedom. I want you to understand that there's this new thing that's going to be making itself available for you if you go to ramikadesigns.com/Battle for Freedom. We have one of the owners, one of the leaders of Mojo Fiber Radio is a printing company that allows you to do 3D designs and everything like that. And so they have a wide variety of things that you can pick up and you can get, if you want to, the Battle for Freedom logo or symbol on them, whether it's tumblers or coasters or whatever it is. They have the skills, they have the ability to put it. It may not be colored as you see in my logo right now, but you can still have, if your bills are paid off and you have extra change to spare and you're not already donating and giving blessings to everyone else, go to ramikadesigns.com .com/Battle for Freedom. Give them the code B4F, and I believe you can save 10% off of whatever your purchase is going to be. So just to enhance your experience and your joy and pleasures of triggered, awkward, and so many other different things. Go check out Romika Designs. I believe that you will enjoy the skills, and while you're there and you have some extra change, continue to go to mojo50.com. Either you can go to the shop button, pick up something from there, or you can click the donate button and donate to this organization that allows me to communicate to you the way I do sillily, basically Monday through Friday. Made up a word there. Actually, something I want to do as well too, because I forgot to do this yesterday, and I've been acknowledging the people who have stood in for me last week as I was out. So last Monday, Ron Edwards spoke for me in my place. The Tuesday, you had Pat Oney from the Pat Oney Show spoke, and then last Wednesday, you had Jeremy Stallnecker, who spoke from the Mighty Oaks program that comes on Saturday mornings, and he sat there, and if you didn't get a chance to listen to these broadcasts, I really encourage you, open up your iHeart app, go back and listen to the episodes of Battle for Freedom last week when I was out on vacation, because Jeremy Stallnecker, he gets into talking about the biblical view of trauma. Oh my goodness. And you know how much I love talking about the Bible. You know how much I love sharing the Word of God and just the importance of it and having it in our lives. And Jeremy just did this wonderful job, made me cry as I sat there listening to as he talked about trauma and from the Bible. And so please go back and listen to it. And then a week ago today, you had even Aaron Barker come in, and he comes in on Saturdays and Sundays that you can listen to the breakdown with Aaron Barker. And as he shares his perspectives and he drives you to start thinking and asking the right questions, these are all the amazing voices that you can hear on the Mojo 50 Radio Network, and I highly encourage you to take a listen to them and just hear what are these other people are talking about, because it might not just be Battle for Freedom things that you're going to be getting from Romika Designs. It probably could be other shows. It could be probably other shows that you want to get behind, support, and say, we really appreciate you coming out of your own and coming out and sharing your perspectives with us. So check everyone out. And again, Aaron covered for me last Friday as well, too. I'll try and talk more about that tomorrow as well. But today I'm talking about the whole idea of the great unmasking, what we knew and more. And, sometimes, again, like I said, all you have to do is just wait a little time and the truth comes out. Here was another one that really started annoying me because, there is this big, huge 1619 project that Nicole, her name is, Nicole Hannah Jones. This was this woman who loses her tenure at the University of North Carolina, basically because her work, the 1619 project, is not factual and very biased. Teaching the critical race theory, the 1619 project, and what they're trying to put in here, and it's really sad because of the fact that because she's black, and we got to push what make black right, because white ain't right, but we got to push blackness at all costs, even regardless if there's truth, if there's any truth found in what they're saying. So we want to teach this perspective of American history, starting with when the first slaves shown up. Oh my goodness. This never was about the truth. This never was about exposing things from the right perspective. It's always about exposing everything from a black perspective, from a minority perspective, from a focus group perspective. It's never about sharing the truth. Every one of us are biased. Let's be honest about that. God is the only one who is not biased. God is the one who is right and true in all that he says in all that he says and does. And we are the ones who must model the unbiased, the impartiality that God has. We must execute that, because if we do not, we will only be putting layers upon layers upon layers of the masks that we hide of the true nature of who we are. But sometimes people already know. I already knew the 1619 Project. I already knew critical race theory. I already knew liberation theology. I already knew the woke culture was based on bias, hatred, and false information. And those unmaskings are taking place, that she's not going to be a tenured individual. She will only be able to teach on a 5-year period. And yes, Carrie, none of us are angels. And yes, Kathy, unfortunately, bias is human nature. It's within us that we are biased. We are individuals. We lack the ability to be impartial. I mean, think about this. The Derek Chauvin trial over a few weeks ago, we find out that one of the jurors lied about him participating in protests and rallies and things like that. We found out that he lied. What is lying? Lying is about hiding our biases and things that we may not want others to know about ourselves. But the unmasking revealed that he lied. The grounds for a mistrial, grounds for to overturn everything that's going on right now. Sometimes the truth finally works itself out. What we already knew. Here's another one about corrupt politicians. They banked on the anchor of saying that Donald Trump is the most corrupt president. Everything he says and does is a lie. Well, get this. VP Kamala Harris broke her own campaign ethics pledge by keeping assets hidden in a tax-protected trust. Her 2020 tax disclosure reveals. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden said that they would close loophole that allows trust beneficiaries not to disclose holdings. In meantime, administration officials were asked to publish all assets. The pledge accused President Trump of using the loophole to avoid disclosing his financial holdings, but Harris' financial disclosure states trusts and trust assets are not reportable. 2020 tax return shows that Harris and her husband earned almost $2 million. But hey, let's go after Trump in New York. Let's expose Trump for what he's doing. And guess what? You're doing the very thing that you said that Trump was doing. See, this is the thing about it, that most often when people are making accusations, most people are usually projecting. When you hear the allegations of racism, this is a systemically racist white America, and black people can't be racist, just wait, hold your horses, it's coming. Right there. Boom. Let's start seeing some more racism. Boom. Attacking people because they're white. Boom. Beating people up because of the color of their skin. Boom. 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 God keeps dropping the bombs and you can't ignore it. Stop faking the funk. Stop faking the funk, because God is about to expose all of us, and we should be quite fearful. We should be quite fearful and dreadful that God would really put the 80-inch TV screen back to the back of our minds, the back of our hearts, so that the world can see what we are really made of. Lord Jesus. There you go. Kamala Harris hiding the stuff. The very thing that you got rid of Trump for. Kamala Harris is guilty of doing the very same thing. Oh, Joe Biden, who literally grabbed Tara Reid by the hoo-hoo and pleasured himself on doing this thing, but you held that Donald Trump's locker room banter, grabbing a woman by the hoo-hoo, is something condemnable. But you, 81 million Americans allegedly sat there and turned around and voted for this man. Guilty. Racism, systemic racism in America. Joe Biden authored and fathered the legislation that was the most aggressive and against black people and putting them in jail. He called them the N-word over and over and over again. We have zero documentation of Donald Trump saying the N-word, but Omarosa saying it, we can believe that. But Joe Biden saying this on tape unashamedly, oh, let's not worry about that. That was just the past. Kamala Harris sitting there calling him a racist. Jill Biden's basically saying F Kamala Harris because of what she said about Joe Biden when they were running during the primaries. But we don't care about that stuff. Yes, there's a lot of new words that we will learn here. As we sit here, we just try to make sense of this. Understand the great unmasking is working its way through. Y'all can't keep lying. You can't keep faking the funk. God's going to expose you. God's going to expose every last one of us. Here it is. Guilty, 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 guilty. Every last one of us. See, as I sit here talking about the holiness and righteousness of God, see, we keep looking at our own righteousness. If there's any righteousness within me, it's because I have it because of Christ. If there's anything that's good in me, it's because of the fact that God from heaven has handed it down and pushed it through me, through my life. Of my own accord, I am a foul, wretched being in need of the Spirit of God to rip me from the clutches of my selfishness, pride, and sinful behavior. I need the Spirit of God to touch my heart, my mind, my soul, my spirit, every essence of my fiber. I need the Lord to sit there and peel away the masks of hypocrisy, peel the masks of self-righteousness, peel the masks of every stronghold and sin that offends the great King, the great I am. We all need to be unmasked. Sometimes being unmasked is the best situation that we can have, because then we are butt naked. We're raw and empty right before the rest of the world, and we can't lie anymore. We can't lie anymore. We have to be real. But see, we keep plying on the layers and layers and layers and layers. I remember this one woman I work with when I used to work at the Ground Round back in Hicksville, New York. And sweet woman. She could be ditzy at times. Her name was Lorraine. And Lorraine had confidence issues. Lorraine would put layers upon layers upon layers of makeup on her face. I mean, she caked it on. You could see right here on her neck where the makeup stopped and her real skin began. And I just sat there, and it was just like, it was almost to the point that it was clownish on the layers of makeup that she had on her face. And I just sat there, and I was just like, I tried to look through the layers and see the individual, and I was like, there's a beautiful soul behind all of that makeup. Why hide yourself? Why do all this stuff to hide yourself from the rest of the world? And we all have pains, we have hurts, we have so much more. And instead of actually taking off the layers of protection that we put on, we layer up, and we layer up. And it becomes like it's that never-ending onion to peel, to understand what's the true cause of our hurt, our pain, and so much more. There's this actor, I don't have a picture of him right now, but Billy Porter. I believe last year I showed a picture of him at the Grammys or whatever it is, and he's the black guy who was wearing a big, huge dress. Had like a bell gown dress with his suit and everything like that. If I'm correct, I think he's been part of, I think he is an actor with Will Ferrell in, no, not Will Ferrell. Was it Will Ferrell? I think it was Will Ferrell. Yes, he was and Ben Stiller in, what's the name of that movie with him? Oh my goodness, he plays the model. It's gonna kill me here. I need help, folks here. Ben Stiller, model. He has blue steel view that you basically. It'll come to me in a minute here, and we'll just go from there. But this Billy Porter comes out basically saying that he had that he had HIV for many years, and he never wanted to come out and tell people what was going on with him. It's just really sad because as you sit here and it's like, well, we kind of probably knew you were experiencing and going through that pain already, because there were other indications in your life that let us know what was going on in your life. There are people in my life that they've been hiding who they are. They've been hiding things about themselves, and many of us already knew exactly what was going on. And so it's really sad because here he is. He's like, oh, well, I hid things about myself. I hid behind this mask for so long. But many of us already knew what was going on. Many of us were like, we were just waiting for you to come to the truth. We were just ready for you to feel comfortable talking about what's going on in your life. You know, as I was talking to my friend about it, who I believe went to school, the same school as Billy Porter, and come to find out that Billy Porter was sexually abused, sexually assaulted, molested by one of his uncles or family members for years. So when we get behind, when we start removing the layers and layers and layers and layers, we find out what we already knew. The abuse and so much more. The ugliness of life that no one wants to talk about, but we mask ourselves with drugs and makeup and all these other different things to make it seem like we're okay, we're fine. It's so heartbreaking. Some of us, we play act as though we've got this thing called life under control, and God's saying, it's time to unmask you. It's time to unmask you. Onions, lots and lots of layers. It's very sad. Here's another one that's really sad. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's electric car, electric shock. Tesla owner by socialist firebrand is spotted illegally parked outside of a D.C. Whole Foods. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez bought her first electric vehicle in 2020 when the COVID pandemic made her commute from New York City to D.C. difficult. On Wednesday, a Tesla Model 3 car reportedly owned by AOC was seen parked illegally outside of a Whole Foods near her luxury apartment building in D.C. Her press representatives did not immediately respond to the request of Daily Mail to ask on this. But understand this, that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez rallied against Tesla in the past for failing to give American taxpayers a return on the billions they received in tax breaks and low-cost loans. She was also instrumental in thwarting Amazon's planned corporate headquarters in New York in 2019. And understand this, the Model 3, the Tesla Model 3, sells for up to $35,000. $35,000. Hey, can she do whatever she wants to in her own money? Yes, she can. But the hypocrisy abounds when you are illegally parked. Look at that. She's parked over the line. In that picture, come on, let's look at this. I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have to park properly. I'm the law. I make the law. See, everything that they say about Republicans, everything that people say about the other party and every side, we always find out there's more. Because understand this, if you go to Alan Chesser for Liberty, Allen, A-L-L-E-N, Chesser, C-H-E-S-S-E-R, for Liberty. Check him out on Facebook and hear how he exposes the corruption that's taken place even in North Carolina. Republican state engulfed in corruption, engulfed in lies and manipulation and voter fraud, exposed for it. See, who said it earlier? I believe it was Carolyn. Yes. When you point your finger at someone, you have three fingers pointing back at yourself. And the unmasking really shows exactly who we are. It's really sad. Here's another one, because this is downright crazy. Tucker Carlson compared Chicago Mayor Lightfoot to a Nazi for refusing to talk to white journalists. Lawyer Lightfoot on Tuesday said she would only give interviews to people of color. Her temporary policy, she said, was to draw attention to the lack of diversity. Journalists in Chicago and beyond reacted with anger at her announcement. One Latino journalist in the city said his newspaper canceled their interview, and Tucker Carlson on Wednesday night described Lightfoot as a Nazi and a monster. And Leo Terrell, a black radio host, said she was a racist and reporters should sue. You just have to wait a little bit longer. Once they get comfortable in their power and their tyranny, the true side comes out, just like with Joe Biden. Only a tyrant would use executive orders. And only a tyrant now is saying to you, get vaxxed or masked. You have no other alternative. That's like basically saying to a woman, hey, you don't want to have an abortion? Either don't have sex or wear protection and take birth control to prevent you from getting pregnant. Let's understand that's what Biden's saying. When you say my body, my choice, and the president of the United States of America makes and threatens Americans that you will pay the price for not abiding by my rules, by my laws. This is the very thing you could accuse Donald Trump of doing. And he's comfortable. He's comfortable in his tyranny. He's comfortable in his position because it was illegally obtained, and there's nothing we can do to undo what he's doing right now. The very tyranny that you guys decried that Trump was doing 4 years ago is the very tyranny that we're beholding. We're not 4 years of Donald Trump, and we're 4 months in, and we're seeing the true face we always knew would be there under a Biden administration. Yes, Carolyn, career politicians need to go. Here's another one for you. So the CDC director is now saying it's possible COVID could have leaked from a lab. And House Intel GOP publishes report stating there is significant circumstantial evidence virus escaped from Wuhan lab. But now you have Rochelle Walensky appeared on Wednesday before a congressional committee and basically said, yes, it's a possibility that the virus could have emerged from the lab. You want to say this now? You want to say this now as we knew a lot of this stuff already? I'm not going to be we don't have to call this the China virus, okay? We don't have to do that. But let's be real about what's taking place here. The origins of what's taking place. This isn't anti-Asian hate in what I'm saying. And so, but we have to get everybody emotional that the moment we start talking about the truth, it's a form of hatred and bias and racism. Hypocrisy. Here's another one that I saw, which was very interesting. So here is a video. Little girl, I think she might even be black. She didn't want to wear a mask. And the Colorado bus driver slapped her. Colorado bus driver slapped this little girl who didn't want to wear a mask. They're fired. Bertram Jaquez was driving children on April 12th in Fremont County, Colorado. 10-year-old girl in the bus was refusing to wear her face mask on board. Other pupils challenged her, and Jaquez went to intervene in the melee, and video shows him confronting the girl, then slapping her across the face. Jaquez said that she would just not listen, yelling at me and other girls. Jaquez was fired from his job 2 days later by the school district. See, right now we have people ready to smack people who aren't wearing a mask. We have people ready to smack people who aren't wearing a mask because we feel emboldened. We feel moved by God to be aggressive and attacking. And all it's doing is showing the real mask and ugliness of people who believe that they have the right to treat people whatever way that they want to. Lord help us. Lord help us. I'm tired of those masks. I'm tired of those masks. I'm tired of that ugliness. I got to end this off with something beautiful. So I saw this video here earlier, attitude of gratitude, trying to end this off on a positive note. Here's a video of a baby sees her mother for the first time.
I'm sorry, sweetie.
We want to talk about unmasking blindness and moving towards a beautiful situation here. I love this because of the fact that look at her response the moment she sees her mom for the first time. She starts smiling and excited.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Hi, Marlo.
This is probably one of the most beautiful things that happens when people are exposed to the truth and they can see for the first time. There's a lot of blind people. There's a lot of blind people right now who are believing that their way is right and God is about to expose them for who they really are. I love this little girl now seeing her mom exposed for the first time, seeing her mother in full color because of the fact that it was an awakening, enlightening, and life-bringing moment. I pray that we can do that for so many more people as we try and show them the truth and do the right unveilings, the right unmaskings. Right now, Brad Staggs and the Daily Mojo's up next. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle4Freedom. I'm out. Take care. God bless.